was that the idea was to get a 100% vote from the planning board. If we got 100% vote, we'd get a 100% pass. When we put it before the community, if we did not, there was a chance that we would lose.
I think getting
That's not
100%
democracy.
vote is very unlikely.
Yeah, I agree,
Sweet.
but that's what she's going for.
Well, that would be great. Yeah, I'm all for it.
Why don't we begin? It's on time, and we can pick up where we get new, we have any more guests come or people.
Yeah.
I'd like to call it to order. I have Chris, Anya, Anna, Pat, Kimberly here. Present. And Paul, recording this. Full business consideration of the July 8th, 2025 minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review it? Are there any questions?
I think the only thing that we need to change is that it's listed as the June 10th Lakes and Natural Resources Committee meeting, and it should have been the July,
So just correct the.
just correct the title.
headline on
Yeah.
it, and change it to July 8th.
But other than that, I would approve it with that change.
So,
Any other changes, anybody or comments on it? Do I hear a motion to approve it?
yeah, I move to approve it as amended.
Second that?
All in favor? Unanimous approval.
Okay, cool.
I move that this is a discussion of the proposed our proposed shoreline zoning ordinance establishing recovery buffer.
Right.
Dan, if you have you were kind enough and we welcome the information you sent us from various scientific journals and
A
studies.
lot of information.
Yeah, basically the information that was sent, was more informative than today's meeting. Today's meeting was addressed to Lake Smart people.
Lenny has a right.
Sorry.
No problem.
Brought something off at Seven Lakes Alliance. Wild traffic up there.
Yeah.
So he's sending me though his presentation. And there are some things in it that maybe we could look at, but basically I think that the information that he sent, and it actually overlapped in a couple of places with what Susan Gallo said, really gives us the information that a real buffer, in other words, a buffer that's more than 10 feet wide and has 5 layers, actually keeps a small but very significant portion of phosphates out of the lake. And that's the science we can get. There is no science on an 8-inch buffer, and there never will be. But I also found in the literature that I read a sentence that I firmly believe, and that is any buffer is better than no buffer. So given that, and given the science that we know about a real buffer, I think that we should continue to pursue this. The real question, though, some people might ask is it worth pursuing if in fact it doesn't do anything? But I don't prescribe in that, but I spoke to a bunch of scientists the other day, and that was the question, that had to be put forward. But all of us, even the scientists, agreed that any buffer is better than no buffer.
I have a handout.
Right.
Yeah,
So, I'll, pass it around, I'll close the door on,
He's dropping from the
Yes.
gallery.
well,
how about this way?
Yeah. I'll be careful.
this is, 2 pages from the, one of the things that was sent, was, referenced in, Susan Gallo's, comments that, Jana had sent to all of us. And it's a compilation of research on buffers. It was put together by the Montana Audubon for the Montana Department of Environmental Quality. So that's their department. And these pages I thought were very pertinent. There were other pages that are pertinent that I didn't copy. But it's really the question of the width of the
Yeah.
of the buffer, which was a major question at the planning board meeting. And I was hoping that Sarah would be here, that we could, probably as an aside, I think we need to get to a meeting with as many people from the planning board and as many of us that can sit down together and just talk about this stuff rather than, have formal planning board meetings. But anyway, so this talks about the literature and it talks about 5 review articles down at the bottom, this chart. The other people in here?
Looks like someone just,
That was Paul's note taker.
oh,
Okay, great, thank you.
So this is just saying that all these people are, all these 5 research articles are advocating the size of the buffer and it, they vary, but it's consistently that a more buffer is better than less buffer. And that less than 50 feet, I think, certainly less than 30 feet, but less than 50 feet is really not very effective, I think is, and so you can read this. And you can right onto it.
Yeah, I would think that the width or the depth would depend a lot on the slope.
Yeah, wait, it says,
Yeah, right in there.
slope and soil conditions are
Yeah.
the wild cards, and they all, mention that, but that Montana Audubon, for Montana's DEP, basically, is an interesting paper. It's about 24 pages, and it really goes through, the author goes through the scientific literature for buffers and puts it all together. And there's a bunch of charts in the back that talk about the type of water pollution. And it says so this is a summary for phosphorus. The average recommended width of the buffer is 106 feet. The range of the literature is 53 feet to 200 feet. So you don't have that in front of you, but it's in that, you have this via Janice email, so you can look at that. So that's for phosphorus. And then if you drill down a little bit deeper in appendix 1, you get into, this is a summary of 77 scientific studies conducted on the size of stream vegetated buffers needed to protect water quality. And I like that this is Montana because Montana's a red state, so that's might carry more weight with certain people. And so and you get down into phosphorus, and it has this table here that basically this study that's referenced says to get 100% phosphorus reduction, the buffer should be 200 feet wide. For 80%, referencing another study, for 80%, it should be 62 feet wide. I think that's that's a sort of a outlier, but it gets into various widths of buffers for the various amount of phosphorus reduction. So you can kind of get a dynamic feel for it. It gets down to 15 to 30 feet. is depending on the 4 studies that, studied of buffers of 15 to 30 feet. It says anywhere from 79% reduction or 18% to 79%, so in that range. But that, you know, it gives you, I think, more of a foundation to say that more buffer is significantly better, and then when you start getting into very minimal buffers, you get minimal advantage to it. And what I was saying to Jana on the way in is that, I envision people, I mean, it's not an 8-inch buffer, you can cut your buffer down to 8 inches once a year, that's what it is. But it's not saying you have to have an 8-inch buffer. If it's 10 inches, you're gonna get arrested for it, you know, you can cut down to 8 inches. So if you've got a buffer, so if you let your lawn grow and after a couple of years, you start to see a pine tree go up, cut it off at 8 inches, you know? If you see a blueberry bush grow up or you plant a blueberry bush, maybe you let that go. Maybe you plant a bunch of blueberry bushes. And I mean, down on Hoyt's Island, if, you know, where you are, back toward the south, you know, there's that boathouse along there, but further, there's a point that sticks out, and they have like an entire blueberry buffer. Well, you guys do too, right? I mean, it's just,
Hemlock and blueberry.
yeah, it's just, it's, you know, not, it's very attractive, doesn't block your view,
No.
and very effective, I would think, as a buffer, so. Anyway.
Well, maybe there should be a sentence about that, but I wanna remind you that when we first started, we weren't even sure that buffer was the most important thing. So it's been an education for all of us,
Yeah.
actually. And I've been listening to you talk about it, and you know, you can't even begin to understand the detail or be concerned even about the detail. For example, this notion of letting things grow, if we didn't go through that educational process ourselves. So I agree with you, for as far as I'm concerned, getting people used to planting something along the edge of their property is really what I'm aiming at. I don't know that it's going to stop phosphorus, but I'm believing that this is a way to educate people towards what we want to do.
Well, we have to be positive that it is going to stop
Yeah.
phosphorus.
eventually, I
Jana,
think.
Okay, so I think you need to
Well, I'm not
be
gonna
able to
say
comfortably
that.
say, or don't say anything. Don't
won't say
say, I don't know if it's gonna
Right.
stop
I'm not
phosphorus.
gonna say
Because
anything.
that's why we're here, to
I'm
stop
talking
phosphorus.
to you. I'm not, I would not
Okay,
share this with
but-
anybody else.
I thought you could practice now.
No, I need to be honest here. But I do think we could add a sentence about, use the words like may. Or perhaps you would let some things grow and you can pick and choose. A sentence that allows you, that suggests that you might let things grow according to your view. So that it maintains your view, because that's not in it right now.
I mean, the initial question was asked whether we should continue to fight for this buffer, and I really think it's critical.
Biggest thing.
It's sort of like smoking. Does smoking cause cancer? I mean, you know, runoff causes increase in phosphorus in the light. And we can't give up on that.
Yeah, and we have to start somewhere, and it's symbolic too.
Well, it's
Yeah.
more than symbolic, it's.
Should be practical,
Yeah.
but yeah, we have
You know,
to
but
start.
even if we think, 10 feet isn't enough, it's still a symbol of having
Well, you know,
shoreline zoning.
50, 60, 100 feet is not practical here.
Right.
You know, we're talking,
Yeah.
Right,
so I read, you sent articles and stuff, and I love to read footnotes and stuff, so. There's a study about from Poland, did you read
Yeah.
it? Okay, so let me read the conclusion. Buffer zones have documented and scientifically proven effectiveness in mitigating nutrient output from agricultural catchments. Our study shows that implementation of buffer zones in some catchment area can reduce nitrogen phosphorus average annual loads by 54.8% for TN nitrogen, 37.1% for phosphorus respectively. Although the effectiveness increases within the buffer zone, it seems that the results obtained for 2 meters zone are the most significant and economically balanced. So 2 meters is 6 feet.
6 foot zone?
Yes. I'm just reading what was sent to me.
Yeah, no, I know, but,
If we could get 6 foot, I would call it a victory.
Wow.
And then you go forward with this. This is a political process. This is a process of compromise. If we can get half the bite at the apple, I'd take it. And then we can probably get a grant to study, you know, what the effect of 6 feet is. And then over the years, you increase it. But that's my view.
Yeah, you can probably, if you can get 16, we can probably get 10.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
And we should,
Well,
and 10 is Lake Smart, so let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, I think also if we
So
start
push for that, but you're not gonna get 50 or 100 or anything like that.
Yeah,
What we proposed originally was 30 feet or 30%, so maybe we go 15 feet or 15%. Knowing that there's still negotiation room down to 10 if we need to go to 10,
Think that'll work?
I don't know.
but they'll also see that we've already reduced it.
Yeah, that's not,
yeah, I
a
mean,
good-
I wouldn't
that's
believe
not
with
good precedent.
negotiating against ourselves. I mean,
That's
I
not
know.
a good precedent. I think we should go for the 30% and
Yeah.
30 feet.
I mean,
And let them tell us what they would, vote
I
for.
absolutely, what my takeaway from all this is that a more buffer is better than less buffer.
True.
And probably, and deeper rooted plants are better than shallow rooted plants, and, I would. I mean, I think we're being very reasonable with this, it's 30 feet or 30%. I wish Hans was here, because I wanted to ask him, I mean, what about, could we put something in here for or do we want to put something in at the discretion of the CEO? Should it be?
I know.
Yeah,
I don't think he can handle any more than he does is the
You
problem.
don't wanna give him more power.
well, okay, but there's two things, you think it would increase his workload to make
Yeah.
a decision?
And he can barely, I mean, we're seeing all this building going on our end of things that we're
and
questioning.
he's been the
And he's been there.
CEO, so I don't know how that went. for him.
Okay, so maybe he's not the right person, or maybe I'm framing it incorrectly. Somebody comes looking for a building permit, they say, Hans or the planning board says you have to have a buffer. And I'm just wondering, at that point, can discretion on the part of the planning board or the code enforcement officer come into play and say, well, your place really could take a 10-foot, not a 30-foot, and, you know, even though you've got this, I'm just thinking about the practicality on we don't wanna come up with something where they're.
Do they have a
hard and fast.
buffer zone now?
What's that?
Do they have any buffer zones now?
Well, you know, the
Nothing,
ordinance,
right?
I mean, if it's a grandfathered lawn, somebody wants a building permit, they get a building permit. They don't say you have to put in a buffer.
Well, we have on our next road over a building that they took down. Supposedly because it fell down, but their plan was for it to fall down.
Right.
And now they're building a big, 3 times the size of what was there, with no buffer zone.
But that's going on everywhere.
Yeah.
That's.
I mean,
Right, and
is
so-
Rome burning or what?
But so
Well,
if
we're
we
trying to-
can't monitor that, but we have a law at least, I feel like the most important thing is to have a law. And then, and try to monitor it, but I don't know that Hans could do this. Nobody's going back to see what these people did. They definitely built a foundation way bigger than the top of what they were gonna just plop down. And now they've added 2 other buildings, which, I mean, I wasn't here for
2
that.
other
But
sections.
plus, at that last planning board meeting, because the planning board is versed in building, they actually help people build.
Yeah,
But they're
of course they do.
not versed
That's not what we
in, they're
want
not
for a
versed
planning
in
board.
buffering or lake smart. That is really the problem. So if they were a little bit more knowledgeable, or at least had one person on the board that was, then right at that planning board, in addition to saying, oh, you've got this building and it doesn't fit, here's how we can help you, and they actually help them to plan
Well, they
a
have
building,
them
which I
for
think
Hammond
they
Lumber.
shouldn't be doing. But they could also say, well, we don't see a buffer, like, nobody even talked about
Yeah,
the grounds at that meeting. Nobody talked about the waterfront. Nobody talked about whether they had trees.
no,
Nobody talked about leaving duck. Nobody talked about any of this at all.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure I'm capable of debating you, but I don't think it's that. For one. The town has an incentive for people to build, so their value goes up, so their property taxes go up. So there's an inherent thing there. These people are charged with administering the ordinances of the town. They're not anti-building. No, I think they're probably trying to be helpful. People come and, I mean, I've been through it, I've been through
Me too.
planning board meetings, I've had rulings, I've had site visit, I've had the whole thing myself. I mean, so I'm not sure that they're in a position to obstruct development. I mean, that would require probably something else that we don't have, which is, residents trying to, saying, all the voters saying, we wanna stop development here, and I don't see that.
No, I don't think I made my point clear. I'm not.
But you're
They're
saying
doing
they
that.
should be
What I'm saying
educating, or
is
they
that-
should be,
They should be as
Mandated-
interested in the property.
contractors are supposed to be DEP certified, I believe.
In the
So,
shoreline zone.
If they're operating in the shoreline zone.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, you scoff at
I
it.
bet they're
Because
not.
we're watching what's going on.
Have you complained? Have you called up, the town?
I asked the
Town did
CEO
it.
about
And what
it.
did they say?
He's avoided the question.
Well,
He said he's been checking on them.
Go to that. So then maybe they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, but it doesn't look like it.
no, I mean,
And
they're.
they don't look certified.
I don't disagree with you at all, I'm just thinking that, without them here to explain the process, I wouldn't assume that nobody's looking at it and nobody's, I would say you should be, if it was near me, and which, I mean, we're here because of the people near us that looked like they were blatantly, working at night and on the weekends and putting in a lawn and doing stuff that I know at that point in time was wrong. And so we complained and the Dallases were right on the front lines of complaining over this and challenging and meeting with the town and
Did it
meeting
help?
with the code enforcement officer. So
It got us here. We have an opportunity to strengthen the shoreline
Yeah.
zone. Did
Yeah.
it change the situation? Not at all, in my opinion.
Yeah, not at all.
I mean,
So changing the zoning to include a buffer
right,
would help, I believe, the planning board focus on that
We'll make,
part of.
we'll make a requirement.
they're
Right.
gonna
That's
administer
what
it.
we're here doing. We're talking about changing the zoning ordinance.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the political process, because so far we haven't been able to do it. But I think what you said, Lenny, is that you need to formularize to some extent the slope. And I think we've got to figure out how to do that.
Well, okay, so within what we're talking about is the slope, and George Seal had mentioned
Slope and depth.
the slope, and there is,
And one more point before you get into that.
yeah,
Is I don't think you need to give, it's wise to give more power to the administratively to the CEO. To use his discretion, you need to have, black and white. That's-
Yeah.
I agree.
Because this
Okay.
CEO changes, we get next CEO,
Yeah.
Everyone
I
has
mean, the
their.
last CEO they had
and I'm.
was at his discretion and it didn't.
no, I think that's good, Paul, I agree with you. So, at the end of Jana's email, it was Susan, Gallows,
Yeah,
comments from Main Lakes. The last paragraph in the last page is, and she said, this came up in a Google search, but I can't find the original source. I actually have been using GPT, and I just said, what's the source of this? I copied and it says, well,
And it
that's
came
the
up?
so it's for slopes of 15% or greater. The recommended expansion of what you have for a regular property would be what is 4 feet of buffer for every 1% of steep slope. For example, a 100-foot buffer adjacent to a 20% slope would need an additional 80 feet of buffer with 4 feet times 20% grade. So this is a regulatory requirement under Maryland's critical area buffer rules. And the Maryland DNR states that buffers abutting steep slopes must be expanded by 4 feet for every 1% of slope or else extended to the top of the slope, whichever yields a greater buffer area. So if we want to incorporate slope, which, I mean, I'd just be happy to frankly get the 30 feet and 30% getting in there. If George starts to say, well, what about slope? Then maybe we can talk about that, but I mean, if we start making it more complicated,
Right,
That's gonna be. the
I think it's not
complaint.
making it more complicated, it's making it more complete. And because the slope all around, and we need to include that, we're just showing us them that we're more confident.
Most everything.
Can we say
has a
something
slope.
like,
Yeah, and I wonder if John from what, you know,
John Blaze,
yeah,
from Auburn.
do they incorporate slope in there?
I read through that,
I think they do.
but they didn't give any, 15% or 20%, they just mentioned remediation, how you could do it with blanketing it, and other types, and I think they leave it up to that. It wasn't clear to me that there was any
And formula.
so the way lakes,
formula for it, it was kind of a.
I mean, some places on Messalonskee have really a lot of slope.
the way Lake Smart deals with slope is you get a point. If your ground is level or moderately level or not quite steep, once it becomes a stair level, you lose a point, and if it's steeper than that, you lose yet another point.
Hmm.
So that's how they deal with it, so it is,
How many points do you,
well, there are 5 sections, and each section has a certain number of points. And so for that section, you could lose 3 points, and that could make or break your Lake Smart situation. What it does for me is, I get to say you lost 3 points because the slope is so great. Here's what you could do to remediate that.
How do you measure slope?
It's very general there. They talk about like taking a stair is a gradual slope. More than that is a steep slope. And then anything less than that is a gentle slope or level.
Flat.
And also they talk about the ground being level, not being smooth. So if rain can run down and get caught in pockets, that's a good thing too.
Right.
So that's another thing that's considered. And it's all done through a point system, but it's not calculated the way that is. So if we needed to, we should have that ready, written in the
yeah,
smallest.
I would do it as a backup, but I frankly, if we could get a buffer passed, I would consider it a miracle and it ain't gonna be 100%, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I guess we can say, in most places, it's 100 feet, I guess we could say that. In most places.
No, the buffer is never, I haven't seen any place.
Well, this is this document here.
They're recommending it, but I don't see buffer
well,
100 feet
yeah,
anyway.
that is, yeah, we're.
Very few places can do 100 feet.
Yeah.
That's a setback for building, that's something else.
Well, currently, we have a buffer of 100 feet. If you've got a virgin piece of land and you're building a house in it, you have a 100-foot buffer.
Right.
No, it's not a buffer. It's
Well-
not, it's a setback. That's
Yeah.
very different.
It talks about it in the.
Like a
shoreline-
potential.
Chapter 1000 as a buffer. It refers to it as a buffer.
Oh, but really, okay.
It literally is a buffer, if you think about it.
It is a buffer, but it's.
It's undisturbed, so it is a
And,
buffer.
and they created it, not for visual
But
setback
you
or
can
anything
you
like
can
that.
disturb the 100 feet.
You can put a winding 6-foot wide path.
Yeah.
What else can you do? You have all the point system of cutting trees and all that stuff. That's a
Yeah, but
buffer.
you can do all that.
Can they plant grass?
No.
Not
you
easily,
can't-
right?
That's the issue.
You
Not
can't
for a
dig it
new
up. No,
development.
I mean, they talk about it as a buffer. It's intended to be a buffer protecting the lake. It is a 100-foot buffer, but we're talking about grandfathered properties that have a lawn, you know, that were developed before chapter 1000 went into effect, and there's no buffer. That's what we're talking about.
But the reality is different. You know, I see people buying property, hiring an arborist. And the arborist is making money for taking down trees, and the arborist says, oh, that tree is a hazard. And
Yeah,
so now the tree that's right in the view is gone. I'll show you 2 houses away from me on the lake, all these big trees are gone. And they're building a new house. They tore it down and they're building a new house.
Right, and the shoreline zoning ordinance says you have to plant, specific trees and they can't die within 5 years. And I mean, they've accounted for that. If you have a tree that needs to be taken down and the arborist should be,
they
qualified.
take them down whether they need to be or not.
Oh, I know,
Yeah, and I don't think it happens.
I know all this, I
I
mean,
don't think
I'm
it
just saying that it's against the law, so turn them in. If they are violating the point, I believe you can cut as long as you don't come below the point system. I believe that that's the case. And I mean, we all know the point system, which is stupid, but
Very complicated.
It's complicated, but it's
it's
actually
bad, but
great.
there's no other, no better alternative.
Right.
So, so yeah, you can cut trees down, and not replace as long as you don't have an open canopy more than 200 square feet or whatever it is, so.
Basically, it's very all in the shoreline zoning ordinance now.
So, yeah, so if you see people that are violating the law, then turn them in. I mean, we've done it. We turned in our neighbors. Another neighbor, we turned in another, he built a cantilever dock right on a permanent dock, right on the shoreline that was, over the water. And we're just like, can't do that. And who was our CEO, 3 CEOs?
Gary Floyd.
Yeah, Gary Fuller even enforced that one, which,
Well, that's saying
It's a
something.
miracle.
saying something, that was that egregious.
So there's no cantilever docks allowed?
Well, not if it's a permanent structure.
No permanent docks at all within the 100-foot,
Yeah.
buffer,
Take 'em out.
cutback.
Yeah.
Thing, so. And, anyway,
Yeah. This summer, I was mowing my lawn, I said, I wonder what, said, when we were thinking of this buffer, how's it look? So I took a big section, didn't cut it. So from the spring to now, and just to see what it's like
Yeah.
versus
has it
the,
done anything? I mean, it's so dry out. that,
even this transformed it.
Really?
You know, there's woody plants coming up.
Yeah.
I'll take a picture and show you.
Did you water it?
Did nothing.
Yeah,
That would be
it's
great to see that picture.
amazing.
But there's enough shade in there, so it's,
Yeah.
but still, but it was about like this high, rough.
Does it look good?
Yeah, but it's not like it's something,
I mean, this high off the
no,
ground,
about this high,
off of the table,
about this high, but it.
but there's stuff going on.
Yeah, and you can see that the root system's going down deeper, because other plants are coming in rather than
Right,
so it's becoming a mixture of little woody plants coming up.
Yeah, please
Other
take a
ones.
picture of that. That would be great for us to.
Yeah, and I'll take a picture, I was gonna take it today, but then I have another section I hadn't touched in 3 years. That's like, yeah, God, yeah,
that's,
yeah, way up here, trees.
could you,
And that's in the frontage?
No, this isn't on the water,
This
this is
isn't on the
just
water.
I have a house in Foster Lane, I just wanted to kind of see what it would do.
could you, trim the volunteer trees and stuff that come up to maintain your view? Would that, with a pair of, where they just, shears just walk around?
Yeah,
and-
this isn't on the waterfront.
Right, I know, but if you,
Yeah, you could,
you could, I mean, that's not, we're not asking them to do anything outrageous here, right?
but even that 8 inches. It could go 8 to 10 or something.
Yeah.
Isn't, seems to me vastly improved than the 3 to 4 inch lawn that's right beside it. You look at the golf course lawn, this one looks wilderness.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's
And
great.
it kind of depends on your soil, what you have. And, but you quickly kind of get a mix of native plants coming.
Quick, yeah. That's good.
So there was a question, well, the, you remember, Craig Alexander saying that if you, if somebody couldn't maintain their property for 2 years, and then they would lose their view, and remember that whole?
Right,
yes.
So, let me just.
Still would call, respond to that one.
Stuart, well, I responded to it because Stuart didn't respond, which was another whole issue.
Sarah's gonna zoom in now.
What's that?
Sarah said she would zoom in now,
Okay,
so should be.
Oh, she's
part of
coming
it.
in,
yeah.
I just got a text back in.
good, well. It's worth-
So what were you saying about his comment?
Well, just, so I'm trying to find,
This isn't
looking at the
Greg.
ordinance, I'm trying to find section 15.
Sit with a C, as in Charles.
Thanks.
So I guess just the. In section 15. Q, and then paragraph 1, it says the removal, and this is in the existing. Ordinance. It says the removal of vegetation that occurs at least once every 2 years for the maintenance of legally existing areas that do not comply with the vegetation standards in this chapter. Such as, but not limited to cleared openings in the canopy or fields. Such areas shall not be enlarged except as allowed by this section. If any of these areas, due to lack of removal of vegetation every 2 years, reverts back to primarily woody vegetation, the requirements of section 15(O) apply. So I guess, so do you know what I'm getting at with that? That he was,
I think he was trying to make a point that, well, what if during a transfer of ownership or somebody died and they let it grow
Right.
up, but they wouldn't be able to do anything with it anyway, and I think the answer is that's already the law.
it's already the law.
Right,
Yeah, that's all I wanted to.
Yeah.
And,
So if it's already in the law, do we need to repeat it?
no,
we just need to clarify it for Craig or whoever else might have that question.
yeah, and so what happened with Stuart? Why did he not respond?
Just didn't feel like it.
He had said that he would, is that,
I talked to him on the phone and emailed him.
I'm gonna welcome Sarah in. Sarah, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in today. We've been just talking about buffers and all that, science behind it. And,
I apologize for the delay.
yes, Sarah, do you have anything you want to add, to our discussion on that? What the planning board, if it's appropriate to answer these questions, is looking for as far as evidence that the buffer, it works, it improves water quality and prevents erosion and so forth. And right now, we're kind of debating the size of it, talking about that and we've done a lot of research, from other states and even other countries on buffers and, how they can improve and maintain water quality by not letting phosphorus and nitrogen and other pollutants get in.
So I personally right now I don't have anything to add. I gotta admit that I've been consumed by my family over the last week. We have visitors and so on. So it have been all my energies have been towards family events. So But I will certainly will get on board. I have not even been able to review the last Thursday meeting from the planning board. So, you know, it's summer and it's just the way how things have roll on my end. But I will be up to speed hopefully by the end of the week, and I'll be able to intelligently respond to the email that I received from you early this week.
That was just inviting her to hear.
Okay.
Like the plan. We're in a little bit of a quandary how to proceed with this, you know, we're doing this just for that committee. Is it a way permissible that we could work with the planning board? Sort of an offline way, not at a meeting or a special meeting with members of the planning board to discuss some of these, if that's permissible or allowable by the town, or do we have to kind of do it like we did the last time? Bring up our and then
And then-
discuss.
In an unfortunate way, we have to stay with the public protocol. All these things that I discuss with the planning board have to have been in a public meeting that is announced and everything else. What I can entertain next meeting is make a probably a longer session for the Lake and Natural Resource Committee. How long you guys were able to speak about this last Thursday?
What was the question? Oh, how long?
How long did you guys, were you guys able to exchange? I did send an email to the board related to the opportunity to engage in conversation with the Lake and Natural Resource Committee, and I put out a few thoughts of mine into it. I don't know how much of that was discussed. I had not had the opportunity to look at the video yet.
We did not attend the last planning board meeting.
No,
We were
Judy,
put on
not,
the- we were put on the agenda as a placeholder, but we didn't feel that we were ready to take the
Okay.
next conversation. So we're trying to prepare ourselves that we're ready with what the planning board is hoping to learn from us, that we can make more progress the next time we attend a planning board meeting. I think I speak for everybody here.
that's
Yes,
correct.
Yes.
okay, so you guys didn't attend the last meeting then. It was not no dialogue about what we're talking about now.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay, great. So my thoughts to the board, because these things occur in the meeting kind of. I talk about a if you would call it a advanced buffer that will not require so much space, but it can be condensed to a smaller area. And I don't know if people that are good in ecosystems and that kind of thing, flora or not, have a better understanding of that denser root system, and then a weed or a plant that will grow thicker and so on. The other thing that of the record was kind of kicked around, and it's something that, you know, Bert and I were talking here basically at home, was the concept of rechanneling the runoff rather than expecting that a buffer is going to do all the work for maintaining the runoff of the lake and the dirt of the lake. For instance, in our property, which is a very steep lot, we have the runoff redirect to a sink. It's a hole right before the flat area or the more flat area of the lot starts, where all the runoff is redirected and if you can imagine it, buried there. So it doesn't make it to the lake. The youth conservation built this for us. And I think, what's the name of the brain guy there with, land use in Seven Lakes? He just retired, is it Chuck?
Charlie Bader?
Charlie,
Charlie,
Charlie, yes. So Charlie designed it for us,
that
right?
was a rain garden, Sarah,
it sounds like it's a dry well.
dry well.
Well, it's a pool that you,
Yeah.
where the sediment,
Yeah, if you
Okay.
wanna call it like that, yes, drywall, you literally, where they figured out where the runoff was gonna run through, and they put this, in the lot, they seeded this lip of, that's like a rubber lip, it looks like, how we call it, a knife that is made out of rubber, it's a rectangular
Oh.
long strip that is.
Rubber razor blade is the.
Yes, yes, so that when the runoff comes downhill, that redirects the runoff to this dry well.
that's
So,
more for erosion.
Well, it can be used on a lawn too, but those are prerequisites. The problem is still that the water still continues to travel towards the lake, even if it travels underground. And if it travels underground with nothing purifying the water, you're still having phosphorus enter the water. So the things that you're talking about are wonderful, but they're also very complicated and they vary depending on every single property. And I did look at your question of making the buffer smaller. The bottom line is it needs to be bigger if it's going to be doing anything. So suggesting that it's smaller, even if it's all natural plants, will not make it work.
And we have a lot of literature on this, Sarah, and I think that you've received links to, I think you received the Susan Gallo, one, didn't she, Jana?
Yes, she did.
Yeah, so the Susan Gallo, that Jana forwarded to you has forwarded to all of us, it has a paper in it called Scientific Recommendations on the Size of Stream Vegetated Buffers needed to protect water quality, and it's, stream buffers, but it applies to lakes as well, and it comes from, it was a analysis of lots of scientific literature. It was put together for the Montana State Department of Environmental Quality is what they call theirs, so it has a lot of stuff. It's the best one I've found, and I've been looking at many of them, and we've all been looking at many of them. But it basically, the message is that the deeper, the wider the buffer, the better, until you get to about 200 feet or so, and then the phosphorus is 100% controlled if you're back that far. But we're talking about 15 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet. A lot of the analysis says that 50 feet is a good minimum. So 30 feet is certainly not an aggressive thing from our standpoint as far as requiring a buffer. So that's kind of, so you have that information, but it really requires digging into this stuff. It's hard for us to convince the planning board through just talking to you versus, referencing some scientific literature that we would really appreciate you guys digging into.
So I sent a lot, but if you would just look at the Susan Gallo response, and she's written some stuff herself, and she's from Maine Lakes. And if you would share that with the rest of the board members and hope that they would look at it as well, it would really help us to explain what's going on.
I can bring the bowl to water, but I cannot make them drink. I hope that you guys understand that. So,
No, and-
so that said, it's just in the, at least from the way, from my point of view, from where I'm sitting here, looking at our community and knowing how they roll, buying into this concept, no matter how many science is there, is gonna be very difficult. That's why I guess in my head, a more practical approach that does not encroach into their ability to manage their property, that don't cut off their hands out of that, it will be more palatable. And even, let's say, starting with a small buffer rather than going to a 30%, is better than nothing, I would say. I know that the science and the data that is there, I understand that, tells that a 50 feet buffer will be ideal. We are knocking that off. You guys seems to, in your mind, giving us a leeway to go down to 30, which is a gain, so to speak, in land use. But if I go to any resident here that is used to have grass all the way to the edge and said, oh, by the way, when you sell your property, you're going to need to prescribe to the new owner that they're going to lose 30% of the frontage, because it's going to be all vegetation. So it's hard to process. I just want you guys to understand from the practical aspect of things, not being so in tune as all of you guys are with the chemistry of the lakes and all this research and everything else, because you guys have pounded on this for a year. You come to any planning board and try to push this through in 2-3 weeks. There's going to be a lot of pushback. You're not more or less frustrated than I am on it, because in my mind, I'm trying to, represent all the sentiment of the community into it. But I also understand the science, and I in my good heart, I don't see how that will go. And then, I mean, even when we push it, let's say we push it through, let's say you win the battle of the board, it's not going to pass. The voters will not take it. Now we can do the wind, and Sarah might be wrong. Maybe we'll put it in the ballot and it passes. But convincing my board is gonna take proving that we don't have any way around it with that 30 feet buffer. We all very concerned about the quality of the lakes, for sure. But there have to be a balance with the land use. I think that we have enough knowledge of different things that there have to be some kind of balance. I don't know where it is, but there have to be. Then the other last item that was brought up in conversation, casual conversation, was the concept of placing a restrained, a limit, or a stop to the amount of sand that is placed in the shoreline zone area. So it's not like we can go put a sand every time we want, or when we have a storm, prepare it before the storm even comes through, throwing sand every 2 hours into it rather than plowing. So that have to be weighed out somehow, because a lot of dialogue bring to the conclusion that a lot of that sand do end up in the lake and create sandbars in the lake. And I even want to say that I related this to Pat, and Pat seemed to have witnessed that same issue. Not that have been scientifically measured, but being a long-term resident, he has seen that in certain areas in the lake. So that was the three things that I would say I would be out there for brainstorm. But what I'm hearing from your group is that just you guys still holding the line on a buffer and a extended buffer. It's not gonna be a 2 feet buffer, and it's gonna be extended more than 10 feet at least buffer to make the water completely filter before it goes to the lake. I really I don't have the ability to sell that to the board. Even when I just on science and detaching myself from my public duties, just on the science, I will side with you. I'm not sure that the other four will commit to that. But we can try again. That's all we can do. So I hate to be I'm really optimistic on these things when science is involved, but on this one, the part of it will be selling to the concept to owners that already their properties have gone up the roof and they're paying so much taxes and so on. So when they, your frontage onto the lake is gonna be curtailed, it's going to be a big balance. And I understand, well, what do you want to pick? You want to pick losing the lake, or you want to pick having all your frontage? And that, I don't know what it will be the exact words to make this elegant and attractive to by starting the board, and then the community. Even when the board pass it even in a unanimous way, the people that vote here are the residents, not the summer residents. A lot of the summer residents will support this thing, I'm sure. But the locals, I'm not completely convinced that is going to happen. And then we really will lose, like they say in the hills where I grew up, we will lose the rope, the ship and the rope, both of it. We were going to lose all the labor that we put into it. And you guys have placed a fantastic amount of research, and then condense it and distill it to this point, which is ultimate. But when that proposal is you picture it, it's funny, the last site visit that we had, we just for kicks, we said, well, what about if we would enforce that, or that would be an ordinance, and we would have to enforce that. So we were curtailing a great deal of the property that these people had, and that was the attractiveness to buy the property, that they were going to have all that. So and that these were new people that I moved in, and what's that? Is Beach Pine Road by Horse
Pine Beach.
Point. Or Pine Beach, whatever it's called. So there's new people that are moving into a camp, and they both engineers, and so we just kind of to probe what they would say. Said, "Are you serious? That's an ordinance?" No, we're considering it. It's not an ordinance. So, well, the reason why we bought this place and we invested in it, and we actually moving the camp back, is because we're going to have all this frontage. So I don't know what else to tell you. I'm sorry to be the bearer of poor news into it, and pessimistic news. And I don't mean to demean or deter you from from the goal that the committee has and the energy that you have put into it. I think the work that you guys have put in this thing is tremendous and incredibly valuable. But and I have tried to think about how to sell it out to the board, but it's just, I'm not sure that all that's gonna roll, and not, and it is not a matter of the scientific data behind it, is when you come to the practical point of it. Okay, so scientific data take us here, and so it's 50 feet, but you know, we're gonna be good, we're gonna do only 30, and you measure that in a land lot, and you pay for that piece of land, and you're gonna miss all that frontage. It's a tremendous hit in the person's head. So
Why,
The
why,
front isn't going
why are
anywhere.
you losing anything, sir? I don't understand. Why do you think that, somebody, would be losing the enjoyment of their land? If they bought a piece of property and then they wanna build a garage, and in return for that, and they have a, lawn running right down the water, and return for that, the town planning board requires that they, stop mowing, 20 feet, 30 feet, whatever the size of the, you know, the, percentage, is less, 30 feet or 30%, whichever is less, they stop mowing that, shorter than 8 inches. And, so there's a section that, okay, they can play football on the other section, but they can't, maybe they don't wanna, play football in the grass that grows up there. But they're allowed to cut it once a year to 8 inches. They can certainly keep trees from growing, they can keep bushes if they don't like blueberry bushes, most people do, but, you know, why would?
how much of your grass grow in a year, Chris?
Grass, I mean, so let's say the grass grows up to 3 feet. Maybe a toddler can't see over that, but, an adult can. So why are they losing their view, of the lake? You know, we're trying to
You-
protect the.
So how you will reach your deck, your dock?
You're
Well,
allowed,
you're
you're
allowed to have-
Walkway.
allowed 2 passages.
Yeah, you're allowed to have a path that goes through that.
6 foot wide.
We're not talking about stopping you from having a path, and the ordinance says, current ordinance says that you can have a 6 foot wide meandering path, winding path that runs down to the lake. So you reach your dock by walking down the path. I don't,
And you're gonna walk, and on both sides of it is gonna be 3 feet high grass.
what was that, sir? I
Yeah, you
couldn't-
work
I
on
couldn't-
As you're
sides.
walking in, picture this, Chris, as you're walking from your camp, if it is, let's say, a 30-foot long buffer, and you have a 3 feet wide path to your deck, and you let it grow for a year, or you have to let it grow for a year at least. So you walk into your deck in the middle of a 3-foot wall, 3 to 4 foot wall of grass and vegetation.
Yes,
Right,
yes. What about that?
So basically like a forest, you're walking into, sort of, I have a trail back here of my house.
Yes, if you're a toddler, yes, but I mean, I have woods. I've got a complete buffer, a natural buffer. I've got a path that's probably 4 feet wide at the most. I can't really, I can't bring anything to transport a sailboat or anything down there in wheeled vehicle. I have never had a problem walking down to my dock. I mean, that's what chapter 1000 has intended to have happen. I don't, it's no, and we're only talking, and you can cut it down to 8 inches once a year, and it's, I mean, so you've got a 6-foot path to walk through. I don't understand, Sarah.
I think you're used to the camp you have, but I think I just throwing this out there. And I'm not trying to create a more dialogue on it, but it might be of of good idea to have our planning board visit a site that is ideal and looks like the way the new ordinance will enforce to have it.
They haven't yet?
Well,
Having a site visit of a camp that will be quote unquote in compliance with the ordinance that you are suggesting. And then we will take you to a site where that's not happening. And we can talk to an owner and ask them what they will say if this ordinance go by.
I think that's
It
a
will
good
be,
idea.
actually, it will be a practical exercise for both sides of the, both boards. Because we, certainly, both boards are, we're not agreeing. But so let's go to a site where your ideal ordinance will pass and have the board walk through it and feel it and see it. And maybe the board said, well, actually it's not that bad. Actually, it's not that impossible. But then for the same talk and giving my board the benefit of the doubt, you will go to a site where there's no buffer, and we will talk to the owners and see what the owners would think about placing a buffer in front of the land. So you guys can hear it directly. But what's going to be the reaction? We cannot move into placing ordinances that we are forcing people to take it, Chris. Is that we are not in a position, my board is not, we're not in a position where because the science is there, you have to do it. Because we cannot force a community to walk in an ordinance in which they don't feel comfortable with, because they own the community too. And I
Okay,
understand
sir.
that you guys have a higher education and hands on understanding the effect on the lakes. So they may be for some time from now on, the force and the energy will be in educating the community about what's going on. But I feel very reluctant in seeing how this thing is going to roll in and how people are going to take it. I mean, we can go the sideways and take it in, do the touchdown, as I told you. Maybe the board will agree, put it in voting, but I'm not sure that this thing is going to be passed. And sometimes that's what it takes to move it forward and see what the voters will say.
Sarah, I think it's a good idea, but by the way, that's what I do every week. I go to people who have land and have no buffer or a minimal buffer, and my job is to explain to them why they need to have a buffer. I face that all the time, and it has to do with what your attitude is also. And you're right, it's about what you're used to. Think about before we had those things you wear in the car.
Seatbelts.
Before we had seatbelts, everybody was opposed to it. No seatbelts. I'm not gonna wear one.
How about smoking cigarettes?
It took smoking cigarettes. These are all things that people don't want to give up. They finally made a law. The laws are in the best interest of the health of individuals. This is in the best interest of the health of individuals.
I wouldn't disagree with you on that. But in the position that I am, and you are too, because you're a part of the committee, we're in the side of representing the interests of the community. Maybe it will be it will be just like you say, but we need to do a more broad education of that, because if the board is not convinced, I can tell you the community is not going to be convinced.
But Sarah, I want to just say one thing. This
Sure.
is town business. This is town business. And the last planning board meeting I attended, 2 people said that they hadn't read what we had written. Now, if it's town business, I think that they should come prepared and read it. Just because they don't like the idea doesn't mean they have an excuse not to read it.
So I want to remind you that my board, including myself, we're volunteers into the board. And I want to remind you that
Sammy,
we do the
they don't
best we can. Our job is to process applications. Applications that come through to see if they fit the existing ordinances. And then we have this commitment of the selectmen to work together with the Lake and Natural Resource Committee. So I am in a good position where I don't work full time, but half of my board members do. So I want you to consider that as well.
No,
So
Sarah, hang on a second, we get that, but the select board, charged us with the following. They charged us to conduct a review of the shoreline zoning ordinance, identify gaps and recommend ways to strengthen the ordinance, to present to the planning board for review and to partner with the planning board in this review. So-
and the planning board has the authority also to say, well, we don't like it, we don't want to do it.
Right.
And
but
I'm
Sarah,
trying to avoid them. I'm trying really hard to avoid and do that.
we're just looking for some partnership here, that's all.
I understand. And I'm trying to do the same thing, but I'm telling you already where the hard muscle is, and we're trying to curve that around. So, but I don't need to hear that we didn't read or we have an attitude, because I'm trying to do all I can to absorb what you guys, the excellent work that you guys have produced, and see how I'm gonna master that, have my board walk through that, but without not cutting off their stand, because I have two people especially in the board that will not budge to this at all.
They won't even read it.
They will not give in into 30, considering a 30-foot buffer or 30% of the distance between the building and the lake. They will not budge to it at all. Now, if you say you come back with a buffer that, we're gonna start with a buffer that is 2 feet for a start. That actually, that's why I had it right in my lot. 2 feet buffer with high grass that we cut. We cut the grass every 3 months or so, and then the winter is gone. And then,
Hi, Sarah. Paul Feinberg has a question for you. This is Pat.
go
I
ahead.
just asked, Sarah, we appreciate your position and we understand that you appreciate our position. And what this board is not experienced in is the political permitting process, which I've done all my life. So where you are, what do you think you can sell to your board? What do
I
you
really
think?
don't know, Paul. This is exactly what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you, I'm going to tell you how my board feels, and I'm actually speaking with them for them because they're not here. But I'm trying to tell you what I see my board going on and the struggle that they have with this concept, and see if we can achieve the same goal, that is somehow filtering the runoff out of the most of the nutrients that we don't want in the lake, if we have other alternatives other than this one. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But it seems
Sarah,
that the only alternative is this one, is no other one, but this one.
Sarah, here's Pat. I like personally, I like the idea of a mutual site visit where we could be with the planning board, be with our committee, look at a site that kind of meets the needs where then we could talk there and kind of work things out in a little different way.
Yeah.
I think that would be very valuable.
I think that's a good suggestion.
And then if we could pull that off, is at the convenience of.
Would your board members all go?
I don't know. I know that for certain, the two DP guys, Mr. Seal and Mr. Baker, which is an alternate, most likely will be willing to go.
Yeah.
Mr. Sargent, I feel he will be willing to go. And even Mr. Sakara and Mr. Alexander will be willing to go. But let them brew on it. Don't try to come and pepper them all at once. Let them brew on it and feel it and have them, kind of walk themselves into it. So what I will do is, out of this meeting, I will put a note to all of them and post a suggestion to see what they say, how they come back about it.
That'd be great.
So, I'm really trying to find the pinhole in the screen, you know, so we can, from there, we can start opening up the way out to in a good direction. But it's gonna take a balance and more compromise. I can tell you that, from what I seen, maybe the flight visa will change that. But from what I sensing from them and, other people that in town that you kind of, do, just, you know, light conversation about it. And then the first thing they will say, 30 feet, 30% of the front, on my front of my, so it takes them, for people that had, for years had that in their camps. It's a secondhand thing. It doesn't bother them. It doesn't hit them. But for people that had, mostly clear in front of their land, for the most part, it really, it shocks them right in the middle of the head. And maybe it's how you guys say, it's gonna be just like having seat belts and having, cutting off on the smoking and that kind of thing. But, it's gonna take a little bit more dialogue. As I said before, if you wanna go, fast, you have to go along. If you're gonna go far, we gotta, we'll be together, the portion of it. So,
Sir, our time is coming short, unfortunately. Can I offer this, that you and I will work this out for mutual site?
what we can do that. Why don't we, actually, before I put the email out, why don't you and I talk about it and, set some dates and, pick the sites that we're gonna, visit. And, then we can communicate that to both our boards. That sounds great.
That sound good for our?
That sounds
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Good.
We're all in approval.
Pick a site that would help to have 30-foot buffer.
He's gonna,
Yeah, I mean,
We'll
I
do
think
it.
that we're
We'll work
gonna
it out.
help with,
we'll talk.
you'll need some
We'll talk.
guidance from.
Thank you
Jan.
very much, Sarah.
Sarah, thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Sarah.
Thank you very much.
Actually.
Thank you for-
Not a problem.
Okay, so we've got about 10 minutes of time left, so we've got some other business to talk about.
Yeah,
So, you and I will get together and we'll figure this out and, there's convenience for everybody. We'll do a site visit and we'll,
Now, do
Make
you
sure
guys
that-
have a presentation today by that buffer expert?
No,
no,
No, he had a conflict of, he had to be at another meeting and he overextended himself.
Okay.
So he couldn't attend, but he sent us all the resources.
But, so I've been copying all those resources as well.
I forward them to you. He's also, I just saw him. He promised to help us in the future if we gave him a little more time.
Who's that?
Daniel Sylvester. He's working with, Seven Lakes and he comes from Maine. Oh, I forget the name of it, but
that's conservation. Okay.
yeah.
Sounds great. So do you guys still need me in the meeting?
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, thank you.
Hey, listen, sorry for a long talk and for kind of,
No,
hogging the
thank you
meeting a
for
little
taking
bit.
the time.
I appreciate your time and, we'll keep working, together.
Thank you very,
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming.
thank you.
thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Hans.
How are
Hi.
you?
Wunderbar.
Timing is important on the
Always.
introduction of these things.
Yeah.
Right now would be a good time for a pesticide suggestion,
For what?
pesticides and fertilizers, chemical. If you have anything in the pipeline for that,
Why is
Is it
now
a
a good time
problem?
for that?
there's a lot of buzz going around about it, and it's gonna be discussed at an upcoming meeting.
What's the buzz?
Setbacks for fertilizers and pesticides.
A lot of towns have.
And
People are scared to death of,
the type, like the granule
Kicks.
that sits and
yeah.
doesn't dissolve right away, like, and this, if you put it out a month ago, it would still be there today,
Right.
so
Who's got the buzz going on?
it doesn't matter.
We'll have to do our.
I mean,
There's
the
a
only
buzz.
thing, the only thing with fertilizer is just not having phosphorus in it. I mean, I think that that's the basis of it.
exactly, and water based, so it absorbs.
I think do we have that
We
originally?
had that in the list.
Originally.
And also, an exclusion zone, from other. I've seen other towns that have exclusion zones within 100 feet.
Portland, Scarborough, South Portland.
So within 100 feet of a water body, let's say stream or water body, yeah, I think that's just it, basically.
Because there's a board member that's. It's one of his pet peeves, and there's a couple other board members that would support it.
Board being the select board,
No.
Planning board.
planning board.
Wait, so there's one person who wants us
He's made it a personal mission
to stop
to
fertilizers,
do something about it.
to do something about
Okay.
fertilizers on the shoreline,
Mhm.
and then not the rest of the board.
Well, you know,
It's a focus of his now.
George is always gonna go towards the environment
Right.
and a few others, but it might. Be able to get through. The planning board to the town vote. Which is your goal.
So how would we, move forward on that? Send something to George
Do you
or,
have something?
yeah, we had
We
something,
have something on the fertilizer.
Yeah, I think we did, didn't we?
yeah, it's, back a ways.
So the last agenda, I put it on. For discussion and we didn't get to it, the meeting was real long. So you can just say we saw it on the agenda.
Yeah.
And would like to offer. What you got.
Okay.
Cause right now it's the time, you know, that iron is a little bit hot.
So that has been on the agenda for the planning board.
I put it on for the last meeting for discussion.
Yeah.
To discuss, they were just gonna discuss it, it's a topic they wanna take up, so,
Did they discuss it?
no.
Did you have language on that, or just? You know. Kind of an
All
ordinance?
it was a discussion of the topic, if it's something they want to take up.
So should we attend to discuss it, or should we attend with some language, or what is your recommendation?
I'll put it on the next planning board agenda at the end for discussion and you can
We can present
participate.
something.
Yeah, it'll be a late meeting, so you don't have to show up at 6. You can show up at 8.
And it was
More than I-
our change number 2, back in
March, right?
January,
What's it say?
the use of all fertilizers containing phosphorus is prohibited within the shoreline zone. Fertilizers containing nitrogen and potassium may be used if in liquid form.
Yep.
Using fertilizer containing phosphorus presents too great a risk to water quality because of the potential for the fertilizer to wash into a water body. Fertilizer containing nitrogen or potassium can be very effective and does not pose a significant risk if used judiciously. Liquid form fertilizer is preferable because it's less apt to wash into a water body.
Nothing about pesticides though.
We could probably find something pretty,
No, but I mean, I think
that's a start.
our focus on phosphorus would
Yeah.
be the thing. So do we need to present that or I mean, George?
Take it as, you saw it on the agenda, wanna offer it up, work with you.
Yeah.
Try to cram something down your throat type deal, like. There's a carrot.
Maybe have a printout, hand it out during the discussion.
Yeah,
And add pesticides to it?
no,
Let's not push it.
but I'm wondering,
Pesticides
do
are
we
not
want
on
to,
charge.
do we want to send it in advance? And that they won't read it, but do you want to send it in advance?
I would.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
part of their binder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if they open it or not, I mean. that's the
Right.
So it should probably go to Mary, and Mary would put it in their binder.
Right.
instead.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's good,
Definitely send it.
yeah.
I say we said exactly what we have there, Chris.
And what?
I think we should add
What
pesticides
meeting?
to it too. They're even worse than fertilizer.
Yeah, but we don't know
No.
enough about
Link quality.
pesticides unless
We can't do a
you've
whole
been
study on
hiding your expertise on pesticides.
Well, you don't have to have a PhD to realize that pesticides probably not a good thing.
Well, it depends on which pesticides and then, yeah, but no, I don't think we're conversant enough in pesticides to advocate for.
We'll let that guy on the planning board bring it up.
Yeah, we'll go with
That can
that.
be, yeah, I mean, with somebody
Let's go
else.
with what we had.
So when is that meeting?
Yeah,
21st.
21st?
of this month,
So keeping us busy.
and you're saying go at 8 o'clock? 8 o'clock, really?
Well, It's gonna go till 9, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and God love them for doing that, I
Yeah.
tell you that, it's,
I'm gonna say 7:30 for myself, just to.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Also, more reasonable. Once past that, I could be lying down sleeping.
good.
Thank you, Hans.
Good, thank you.
Yeah. But, I have a question for you, Hans. So what we're talking about, you probably heard the tail end of it, is finding a problem. Now, my problem is I see properties that aren't good, or I see properties that are so good. No, like I see 100 foot buffers that people won't be able to do, and all trees, and nobody's gonna like that. My house is Lake Smart, but I'm so close to the water that it's not a good example. So are there examples of places, Hans, that would provide a buffer in front of the house that you know of, where we might contact the owner and ask?
Well, the problem with the blanket ordinance, you know, it's not one size fits all.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
even on your road, go
Right.
down to Mr. Smith's, you know, where they just did that other house with the foundation.
300,
That's a slope, it's a steep slope,
right, depending on the
And-
slope, yes.
and
this
their
is
lots are real small, and their houses are close to the water, so if they were to do a buffer like that, I mean. 30 feet. that'd
Well,
be
we're not
two
saying
half of the
30 feet,
house.
they're saying 30%.
30%.
30% in that case.
If they have 50 feet, then it's a 15-foot buffer, and if they're 25 feet, it's a 7.5 foot buffer. You know, so it's 30 feet or 30% of the distance from the primary structure to the water, whichever is less. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's not gonna work, but others, it would work very well.
Well, in which case, maybe going to my house shows that, because I'm practically on the water,
Okay.
and yet I have a buffer. Actually, I've just taken some plants down and started some new bushes, so I'm not like.
So why don't you think about it?
Okay,
And, cause you know what we're talking about better than,
I do,
the
but
rest
I
of us.
cannot think of a place, well, I'll think about it, but.
Yeah.
Okay,
go drive around on the lake and take a look
I ran on the lake,
in a boat.
I do that, nobody's ever home, it's very frustrating. But okay,
I
yeah,
think that would make sense.
Sarah seemed to be mentioning we would go to the, that property we talked about at the last, when we were at the last planning board meeting on
Pine Beach.
Pine Beach.
Yeah, 66, I
Which
mean,
was-
yeah,
I think they were
we
mocking.
discussed
us,
that
really.
while we were there, we did a site visit,
Yeah.
and we discussed, and it's kind of already naturally got a buffer, because they haven't messed with it, it has a natural berm as you get near the water, so runoff gets collected,
Hmm.
it's kind of a picture perfect site.
Is that a good example for us to?
But it sounded like the homeowners
It
were not in
sounded like
favor
it.
of this
No.
ordinance.
yeah, it sounded like they didn't wanna,
Nobody
Yeah,
wants to be
buffer.
told what they can and can't do with their land.
I know, but if the lake turns green, it doesn't matter. I mean,
I wanna put in a boathouse. I've always wanted one.
you should just put it in.
Yeah, you can't, nobody can tell you.
do whatever you want.
Yeah,
Well-
we have a new lease on life.
Well, I say
Do
find
whatever
something
you
that's
want.
not already in the ordinance that you wanna do, and then we'll make an ordinance to prevent it, okay? I mean, that's not a fair comparison.
Well, no, but I mean, the planning board is in the position of telling people what they can and cannot do. I mean, they do it all the time. You
In
do it all.
terms of,
Not much, they don't
Following the
say
rules.
much.
I know you're
Or
following the
according
rules,
to
but you
the
still are telling people what they can and cannot do.
And
I
I get
mean-
to point at an ordinance to blame. for.
I know you can blame the ordinance, but it's.
That's why we're trying to
you're-
strengthen
that's
the
what,
ordinance.
we're trying to create an ordinance that's going to make the earth and healthy, and in the end, the
It's gonna-
people healthy.
We wanna protect the tax base of the
Yeah.
town of Belgrade,
Everything
which
turns
is heavily dependent on water quality. And, so,
Folks, we're at our end of the meeting.
yeah, we're at the.
Let's go.
We've got a lot.